What if the one person in the world who is supposed to protect you, to love you unconditionally, is the monster under your bed? Not a demon or a ghost, but your own mother. What if your love is a cage and you only realize it when the door slams shut? That is the terrifying, suffocating question at the heart of Shuzo Oshimi's masterpiece of psychological horror, Blood on the Tracks. And today we're going to talk about why this manga is one of the most genuinely disturbing and brilliant things I have ever read. Hey everyone, it's Jan here, and welcome back to the channel. We're about to deep dive into the abyss that is the story, exploring the horrifying relationship between a boy and his mother. But before we fall down that rabbit hole, if you love deep dives into the darkest corners of manga, do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button. It tells YouTube you want more of this content. Go ahead and ring that notification bell so you don't miss the next one, and please smash that like button to help the channel grow. Now, I want this to be a discussion, so get ready to jump into the comments. Have you read Blood on the Tracks? Did it mess you up as much as it did me? Let me know. Alright, let's get into it. First, for those who haven't read it yet, I'll give you a spoiler-free premise. The story follows Seiichi Osabe, a normal, quiet middle schooler. He has friends, he has a crush, and he has a mother, Seiko, who is, let's say, extremely doting. She's beautiful, kind, and completely devoted to him. Maybe a little too devoted. The entire story kicks off during a family hiking trip with Seiichi's cousin, Shigeru. In a single shocking moment on the edge of a ravine, Seiichi witnesses his mother do something unthinkable. She shoves his cousin off the cliff. He sees it. We see it. But the world doesn't. Shigeru survives. But the fall changes everything. This is the inciting incident that cracks the foundation of Seiichi's entire world. Okay, for real. If you plan on reading this, maybe skip ahead to the review section. If you're here for the whole story, buckle up. What follows that incident is not a police thriller. It's a slow, agonizing descent into madness, driven entirely by his mother's terrifying psychological manipulation. Seiko doesn't acknowledge what she did. She smiles, a placid, empty smile, and her love for Seiichi becomes a suffocating weapon. He is the only one who knows her secret, and she uses that bond to isolate him, to gaslight him, to turn him into her little accomplice. His life spirals. He can't talk to his dad, who is oblivious and distant. He tries to have a normal relationship with his crush, Fukishi, but his mom is always there, a silent, smiling specter pulling him back into her orbit. Every time he tries to grasp reality, she warps it. Her blank, staring eyes become the central image of this horror. The story escalates to a breaking point where Seiichi, completely broken and detached from himself, starts a fire at his own house, nearly killing his mother and himself. This leads to a major time skip. We jump forward several years. Seiichi is a young adult, living alone, completely hollowed out and emotionally catatonic. He spent his youth in a mental facility. He barely speaks, barely feels. The story then becomes about him tentatively piecing together his life and crucially confronting his past. He eventually goes to see his mother, who is now a withered, broken woman in a care facility. The ending is quiet, brutal, and deeply ambiguous. We learn about Seiko's own traumatic past and her desperate, twisted need for a love that belonged only to her. Their final confrontation isn't a loud screaming match. It's a quiet, heartbreaking moment of fractured understanding. Seiichi is left to carry the immense weight of this trauma, but with the faintest glimmer that he just might, be able to start living on his own. So with the summary out of the way, let's talk about why this manga is a work of genius. First and foremost, Shuzo Oshimi's art is a masterclass in visual dread. The real horror of Blood on the Tracks isn't in what's said, but what's unsaid. Oshimi is the king of the silent panel. He will spend pages just focused on a character's face, letting the horror build in the subtle shift of an eye or the unnerving curve of a smile. Seiko's smile. It's going to haunt me forever. It's this mask of motherly love that barely conceals an absolute void underneath. The art forces you to feel Seiichi's paranoia and confusion because you're trapped right here in his point of view, scrutinizing every micro expression for a hint of truth. Secondly, the psychological realism is absolutely devastating. This is one of the most accurate and terrifying depictions of a toxic, enmeshed parent-child relationship I have ever seen. The way Seiko gaslights Seiichi, making him question his own sanity, is chilling because it feels real. It's the quiet horror that can happen behind closed suburban doors. Oshimi, who has admitted the story has autobiographical elements from his own anxieties about motherhood, captures how trauma isn't a single event, but a slow poison that corrodes your entire identity. You watch Seiichi literally disassociate from himself, and it's heartbreaking and terrifying. Now, as much as I praise this manga is not for everyone, and it has aspects that are valid points of criticism. The most common one is pacing. This story moves at a glacial pace. I called Oshimi's use of silent panels a strength, but for some readers, it can feel like the story is dragging, with very little happening for chapters at a time. It's all about mood and atmosphere, a slow tightening of a knot in your stomach. If you're looking for a fast-paced thriller with clear plot points happening one after the other, you will likely find Blood on the Tracks incredibly frustrating. It's a methodological, deliberate burn, and that's a turnoff for some people. Not for me though. The other major point is that this is an emotionally brutal read. This is not a fun time. There is no catharsis in the traditional sense. It's an oppressive, bleak, and deeply uncomfortable experience from start to finish. If you're not in the right headspace for a story that will drain you emotionally, I would genuinely advise you to stay away from this manga. The ending is also a point of contention. It's ambiguous and somber. It denies you a simple, clean resolution where the villain is punished and the hero is free. It's thematically perfect, but if you need closure, you might walk away feeling profoundly unsatisfied. So that's the final verdict on Blood on the Tracks. For me, it's a haunting, unforgettable masterpiece. It's psychological horror at its absolute finest, using the medium of manga to tell a story that wouldn't be as effective in any other format. The art, the suffocating atmosphere, and the raw portrayal of trauma make it a must-read. However, it comes with a huge warning label. You should read this manga if you love slow burn psychological horror. You appreciate masterful visual storytelling that relies on atmosphere over dialogue. And if you're looking for a challenging, thought-provoking story that will stick with you long after you have finished it, you have to read this manga. But you should probably avoid this manga if you need a fast-paced plot to stay engaged. You are sensitive to themes of child abuse, gaslighting, and intense psychological distress. Or you want a story with clear answers and a satisfying happy ending. It's a chilling exploration of how the deepest love can become the most destructive poison. That's my take on Blood on the Tracks. This one was heavy, so I really want to hear your thoughts. What did you think about the ending? Did Seiko's character design freak you out as much as it did me? Let's have a full-blown discussion down in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you in the next deep dive. Take care.